Hey guys, Paul Rick here. Welcome back to another edition of the Baseball Dad Show. Man, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. An interesting announcement from the NBA recently that I think will change the way that sports is done, and I think will change the way in the next, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 10 years from now will change the way that we play baseball. So we're going to get into that and that shift in a second. Head on over to baseballdadsshow.com. There's all kinds of stuff there. There's the Guardian courses, the first course only created for baseball dads to create great men, husbands, fathers, and leaders of tomorrow through the game of baseball. There's also a scorecard there that you can see if your son's ready to play on the next level. A cut and paste email dialogue that you can ask your son's coach for more playing time without looking like one of those dads. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. You can set up calls with me there and everything. Head on over to baseballdadsshow.com. So very interesting development in the NBA. It was kind of leaked that the NBA is brainstorming and kicking around the idea of in-season tournament play. So I don't know. I do so many of these podcasts. I have 3 podcasts that I do in my life, and so I kind of forget when I said what, but we talked about it had to be last year sometime that I was saying that the game is going to change rapidly, that there's going to be major shifts in the way that the game is played, not only from technology, but also from the tournament structure of games. Is that as we see this generation come up through tournament baseball, we are going to see that when they get to college and playing a 40, 50 game regular season, their minds, they've been programmed to play these tournaments, tournament after tournament after tournament. And that's the way they've played. That's the way they've been conditioned and trained to play. And that's the way they've been raised to play. Then all of a sudden now they're going to play this 50 game regular season. And it is going to seem, a 50 game regular season is a long season anyway, but it's going to feel like a ridiculously long season to those players who have never played a 25 or 35 game season before of regular season games, especially when the games tend to feel meaningless, where they're just kind of waiting around for the tournament. So if you followed a little bit, again, this is probably, it's something I always think, NBA, Major League Baseball, even corporations will kind of float ideas out there to see what the reaction is. We saw this earlier this year with MLB kind of floated a rumor of being able to put up, whatever hitters you wanted in the 9th inning, right? 100%, I think that originated somewhere in an MLB office, and they kind of floated it out there to see how, see what the response would be. So I think this is Adam Silver or someone in his office that is designed to make the game more exciting, has floated this idea of in-season tournaments. Now, here's what I think the issue is. You can tell that the players are just not into regular season games. They're into it enough to cement their position. But even we see as the NBA goes deeper into seasons, we see that it doesn't even bother teams where they end up in the playoffs. Like just all they're kind of seeing is just, can we get into the playoffs? And that's really the thing. And I think from an attendance standpoint, I think people will show up for games, but when the games are not maybe against teams that are as exciting or have name brand recognition, big stars in them, I'm sure the attendance is down. I also think in games that don't have any significance other than the regular season impact, which in today's world of kind of low attention spans, immediate gratification, 24-hour access to any information and constant stimulation through our phones and iPads and computers and news and stuff like that, that people aren't too excited that, if the Milwaukee Bucks come in and play the Knicks on a Wednesday or Tuesday night. The costs of the games are getting a lot. I don't know if you've put a ticket on a Major League Baseball game or a basketball game, but it's not cheap. And so this is an effort, I believe, for the NBA to bring some kind of excitement into the regular season so that people stay longer to games. I am recording this as the NBA playoffs are underway. And I guarantee you that anybody going to a playoff game is sticking around to the end to see what happens at the end, especially if the score is close, because the game does have meaning. The game has meaning in the series, that one game can, it does tilt the momentum. It doesn't decide a series, but it does play a part in a series. And I think people see like, hey, this series is going to take like a week and a half or so, that every kind of game matters. So how does this play out in baseball? Well, it kind of plays out good and bad. So here's just a discussion I had with a friend of mine. We thought about this. What if every series in baseball was a 3-game series? And it wasn't now that you played 54 3-game series throughout the year, 162 games. And instead of getting judged by wins and losses record, you get judged by how many of these tournaments you win. It's interesting. There are some issues with it, right? As you think about it more, there's some issues. But here's the exciting things of it. The exciting things of it is, let's say you've got New York and Boston, and they're playing in a 3-game tournament. It's a best of 3 tournament, or a best of 3 series. And the winner of that series is you have to win 2 out of 3 for it to be meaningful. It makes the first game very exciting. It potentially makes the second game very exciting. If the first 2 games are split, it makes the third game wildly exciting, right? That the Yankees and the Red Sox would be playing in a tiebreaker in the game 3 of a series that would determine who won the series. That would be extremely exciting, because now you'd have to play for each and every game, right? You would try and win. Obviously, you'd go all out to try and win that first game, just the same way in the first game of a division or a playoff series or the World Series, right? Game 1's important. Game 1 of a series would be important. If you won game 1, game 2 of the series would become super important for the other team who's down 1-0. You would be trying to close them out. They would be trying to even it up. The pitching matchups would skew. The way the bullpens are used would skew. Everything would change. Now, and then a game 3 would be incredible. Now, there's some downsides to it, right? There's obvious downsides is kind of that constant pressure. Can a team play 54 tournaments a year? Maybe that's not it. I'm just spitballing ideas here that I had a conversation with my friend. Could a team do that? I don't know. Probably not. But there's something there. What effect would it have on bullpens and pitching staffs? And would they have to expand pitching staffs, and would it burn them out? Maybe. The other downside of it is game 3, if the Yankees won game 1 and game 2, game 3 would not be very exciting, right? So there's a downside to it, especially if it was decided, right? If it was best of 3. It would take some of the pennant race aspect out of it, but it could also it would take the volume of teams in the pennant race. It would take the volume down, right? You wouldn't have as many teams in the pennant race. Things would be decided a little bit easier, but it could shrink that, but magnify the intensity of the pennant race going in. A good side is the first series of the year would have a dramatic impact, right? Every series would have a dramatic impact. You wouldn't want to go down 5 series because it would take you. So if you think about it, if you lost the first 5 series, let's say you got off to a bad start, which some teams do, it would take you 5 more series just to get even. So these things like, do I think it's going to happen in baseball? It's something like this is going to happen in baseball. Something like this is going to happen. I'll tell you one thing they could do is you could see tournament play in the middle of the year. The baseball all-star game, the NBA all-star game. I don't know, even the football, like it's at the end of the year, the football, I don't think football has a problem. So football is probably not in this mix, but the NBA all-star game is kind of like a joke. It's kind of like a scoring session. The Major League Baseball all-star game, they tried to spice it up with the winner gets home field advantage. And that, I don't know, that's just it's not very exciting to me. But maybe a midsummer tournament in July, when baseball kind of has center stage. Basketball's over, football hasn't started. Maybe instead of doing the All-Star game, there's a week where you're doing the first half, the first half champions and the second or the first half leaders are playing off for a spot. I don't know, but something like that could be cool. Here's I don't know that I have all the answers, and I can kind of brainstorm it anyway. I mean, I could make it Star Wars, the way I think about it. I also look honestly, objectively at the problems with it. But I'll tell you the one thing that is for sure, it's coming. It is coming, and people my age, I'm about to turn 46. We're of that age that we remember baseball when it was awesome, and we would love baseball to go back and be awesome. And I often say that we're dinosaurs. And we want to stay dinosaurs. We don't want to be extinct. But I'm going to tell you, if we don't change, the people that are probably my age and older, I'm probably right at the cusp, maybe 42, 43 and older. If we don't change the way we think of the game, I've said it to audiences of 1,000 coaches, they will remember us by our fossils. So this has been a fun discussion, a fun exercise in kind of brainstorming and what could be and what if. I don't know what will happen. But I guarantee this, the NBA is probably the most progressive league as far as changing things, experimenting with things, and making things exciting. And they will definitely go first, and then baseball will follow. But change is coming. And again, as a dinosaur, I'd love it to go back to being awesome. But this is exciting too. What I ultimately want is the game of baseball to continue. That's it. I want the game of baseball to continue. So head on over to baseballdadshow.com. Lots of cool stuff over there for you, and I'll see you guys on the next show.